Hi, Joe from Gracia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 27th of February, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Thursday, the 20th, the State Security Service announced the detention of 2 Georgian citizens on charges of being part of a foreign terrorist organization and assisting in terrorist activities. During raids at multiple locations across the country, security services seized weapons, a large amount of cash, and explosives. The Counterterrorism Department carried out the operation. Security Service believed that the individuals have connections with ISIS, as the group's flag was found during the raid. There's been no information released regarding any planned terrorist attacks in Georgia or neighboring countries. Russia, in particular, has faced threats from ISIS and struggles with radicalization within its large Muslim population, who are currently disproportionately being sent to die in Ukraine. In the meantime, Ministry of Internal Affairs is purchasing a digital system from the Israeli company Cellebrite, which will enable access to encrypted and locked phones, computers, and other electronic devices. Purchase cost is 7 million lari, which is about $250,000. Cellebrite is a digital intelligence company that enables data extraction from various operating systems like Android, Apple, Microsoft, Linux, and cloud platforms. These Israeli companies are known to test all this on Palestinians and sell to autocratic governments while saying their purpose is for criminal investigation. The system will likely be used against pro-European demonstrators, as many individuals detained during government protests have reported that the police demanded they unlock their phones and threatened physical violence if they refused. In international news, on Monday the 24th, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution initiated by Ukraine and European countries calling for Russia to withdraw its troops from internationally recognized Ukrainian territories and cease hostile actions. 93 countries supported the resolution, 18 opposed it, 65 abstained. Embarrassingly, the US and Russia voted against the resolution. Georgia chose not to participate in the vote. Georgia was a co-sponsor of a failed alternative resolution proposed by the U.S., which also called for an end to the conflict, but took a more conciliatory approach towards Russia, refraining from labeling it as the aggressor, which it definitely was, or setting specific demands. Talking about Georgia and the U.S., on Sunday the 23rd, Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze stated that the ruling party aims to reset relations with the U.S. and renew its strategic partnership from scratch with a clear roadmap. He emphasized the relationship between Georgia and the U.S. would improve if Trump defeated the deep state. This conspiracy theory has become a staple within the Georgian dream, who likes to parrot Trump in any way they can. The Kotzebi, who blame every setback in the international arena on this mythical, shadowy organization that tries to undermine Georgia. Kobakhidze acknowledged that Trump has a lot of issues to address, including the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, which means that Georgia is not on his mind right now, but he believes that eventually the U.S. will seriously focus on Georgia-American relations. Next up, on Friday the 21st, daily protest march from the public broadcaster to Rustaveli Avenue was disrupted when 2 men attempted to attack participants while wielding a sharp machete-like weapon and a baseball bat. 2 men stopped their car next to the demonstrators, shouted at them, threatened them with their weapons. After a brief altercation, the attackers were forced to return to their car and leave the scene. Despite the presence of the police, they did not intervene. 2 individuals were later arrested for hooliganism, but were released after 24 hours. Got a video of the incidents you can check with the link in the show notes. Speaking of broadcasting, on Monday the 24th, Kotzebi's Parliamentary Bureau introduced amendments to the broadcasting law to limit media freedom. The changes aim to limit the funding broadcasters can receive from foreign entities, whether direct or indirect, like buying broadcasting services or financing television programs. This will not apply to commercial ads, telemarketing, or product placement. The amendments also added a new rule preventing broadcasters from accepting funding in exchange for airing social ads. The term foreign entities covers foreign governments, non-citizens, or companies not based in Georgia. On that note, according to a draft amendment to the gender equality law, the Kotzebi plan to remove the term gender from the country's legislation. The term gender equality will be replaced with equality of women and men in the law's title and text. The amendment argues that the term gender was artificially introduced through foreign influence and lobbying, says that gender does not align with Georgian values and creates barriers for the state. Draft also eliminates requirements for various parliamentary gender equality councils, the national and local levels, saying it will save resources. Instead, it focuses on raising awareness about equality between men and women with a proposed budget of 50,000 lari, which is a whopping 18,000 US dollars for awareness campaigns and women's empowerment initiatives. On Wednesday, the 26th, Peter Fischer, Germany's ambassador to Georgia, announced on Twitter that his country is freezing scientific cooperation with Georgia because of the country's restriction on academic freedom and the halt of the EU extension process. The German Ministry of Education and Research has suspended the renewal of Georgian-German cooperation, including student mobility, research, and Georgia's involvement in EU programs. In the last few days, a massive snowstorm has hit western Georgia, particularly Guria, causing deaths, injuries, and severe property damage. And some of Guria people remain without power and are completely cut off from the outside world. Residents have shared photos and videos of the damage online, with many trapped in their homes and unable to get help. Link in the show notes to check out some videos. Man died in the village of Konchkati while trying to help a neighbor clear snow off a roof. The village of Nananebi, a woman passed away, leaving an elderly mother alone with neighbors unable to reach them. Energo Pro Georgia has sent teams from across the country to restore power, but heavy snow makes it difficult for them to access the hard-to-reach areas. The situation remains critical in rural regions. Despite the Kotzebes' insistence that no parliamentary elections will be held till 2028, on Wednesday the 26th, President Zurabashvili shared a roadmap for new elections on her Facebook page. She outlined 5 key steps: setting election conditions, preparing election commissions and observers, protecting elections from fraud with international partners' involvement, coordinating political forces for the new elections, and creating a unified election program called the Georgian Charter, with priorities such as releasing political prisoners, abolishing the Russian law, and restoring a fair judiciary. Shifting gears, according to the 2024 Global Peace Index, or GPI, Armenia is the most peaceful country among its neighbors. Might come as a bit of a surprise since it's been just 2 years since it was attacked by Azerbaijan. The peace between the two South Caucasus countries seems not super sure at this moment. Despite this, Armenia ranks 77th, while Georgia holds 100th position out of 163 countries. Azerbaijan is 106th, Turkey's 139th. First place on the list was awarded to Iceland, while the dubious honor of at least a peaceful country to live in is Yemen. GPI, developed by the Institute for Economics and Peace, measures peace through 3 key areas: societal safety, international and national conflict levels, and militarization. On a similar note, according to Freedom House's latest report, Georgia remains a partially free country with a score of 55 out of 100, down by 3 points from last year. The organization gave Georgia 21 out of 40 for political rights and 34 out of 60 for civil liberties. According to the report, while competitive elections and an active media and civil society exist, oligarchic influences affect politics, opposition figures face physical attacks, corruption also remains a problem, media freedom is limited by threats and pressure on journalists. The report also mentions widespread violence during protests where security forces use disproportionate force. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. In case you didn't know, besides the Rorschach Georgia update, we also do others. We've got a lot of country updates from Africa, Asia, South America, and Europe. We also have non-country updates, including the Arctic update about the area north of the Arctic Circle, the multilateral update about the world's major multilateral institutions, and the ocean update about the 70% of the world covered in salt water. If you want to check these out for the full list, go to www.rorschach.com/updates. Link is in the show notes. Nachman, please.